The Dawn of Rebellion Scene 1. The Streets of Budapest. It was a regular Tuesday morning, but the air felt different in Budapest. The skies were overcast and foreboding, as if nature itself anticipated the storm brewing below. People walked briskly along the cobblestone pathways. In the heart of the city, the historic Kossuth Square was beginning to buzz with life, setting the stage for the coming revolution. Student awakenings. Inside a dim-lit student union hall, spirited discussions were unfolding. University students, their minds sharpened by political science and philosophy, fervently exchanged ideas. An unease had settled in them. They had grown tired of foreign rule and censorship. Today, they decided, would be the day they take a stand. They scribbled their demands for reform on parchment, each line a bold cry for freedom. Workers joined the cause. At the crack of dawn, factory workers, their hands calloused and eyes weary, assembled outside their industrial prisons. Rumors of a march had reached their ears, and with it, a spark of hope. They knew too well the weight of chains, having borne them through long and arduous hours. They stepped forward, joining the ranks of those crying out for change. Scene 4. The march. The assembled throng swelled as the streets vibrated with the sheer force of collective steps. A river of humanity flowed through Budapest, banners held high, bearing the resonant words, "We demand independence." At its heart, the iconic statue of Joseph Bem, a national hero from previous climes, served as a rallying point for the revolutionaries. Scene 5. Voices echo. Voices of the protesters echoed against the ancient facades of Parliament building. Chants of "Ruski Kaza," Russians go home, filled the air, a refrain that captured the essence of their struggle. People, young and old, found themselves chanting along, lending their voices to the symphony of defiance. Scene 6. Resistance grows. From the balcony of a nearby tenement, a gray-haired woman watched with a mixture of pride and trepidation. The cross-stitching forgotten on her lap, she witnessed the birth of something potent and dangerous. She prayed, clutching her rosary, for her grandchildren among the throng, hoping that this fight would bring lasting change. Scene 7. The spark. The earlier written demands were read aloud, their powerful message invigorating the crowd. Freedom of speech, free press, withdrawal of Soviet troops. Each demand felt impossible, yet necessary. As the list ended, it was as if a match had been struck, and the fire of revolution took hold of the hearts gathered. Scene 8. Press repercussions. While the local radio stations buzzed with excitement, they were careful with their words. The secret police listened closely. Yet the heartbeats of the nation raced too fast to ignore. In secret dissonance, they transmitted messages of solidarity across the land. Scene 9. Government stirrings. Within the grand halls of the Hungarian government, panic intertwined with stubbornness. Prime Minister András Hegedűs and his allies, underestimating the insurrection, huddled in conference rooms. Decisions made here would dictate the course of Hungary's fate. Scene 10. Armed stand. As the sun dipped and shadows lengthened, police presence thickened. Armed with batons and heavy with the burden of unjust orders, officers approached. The protesters stood their ground, each refusing to yield an inch of moral high ground. Scene 11. The first confrontation. Tension in the air manifested in the clenching of fists, the officers' triggers itching under pressure. The clash was inevitable, a mismatched confrontation that would etch trauma into Hungary's collective memory. Scene 12. Broadcast for freedom. In secret studios, journalists defied the censors, determined to broadcast the voice of the uprising. Typewriters clicked furiously as stories poured out, armed with the truth as their weapon. Thus, the world heard of Hungary's stand. Scene 13. Crossroads of change. Amidst monumental buildings steeped in history, men and women found themselves on the precipice of change. What had begun as a march spiraled into something unprecedented. What road they would walk depended on courage and resilience. Scene 14. A city in flames. As firelight painted the skies above Budapest, a new reality set in. Loyalty to the regime faded as quickly as the smoke rose above burning tanks. The rule of intimidation was over, while burning wreckage fueled new resolve. Scene 15. International attention. The world watched in rapt attention, fingers hovering above the buttons of power and diplomacy. Soviet advisors penned rapid missives, their telegrams tinged with a mixture of incredulity and unease at the spreading dissent. Scene 16. Decisions under duress. Backrooms buzzed with debate as desperate leadership considered leniency against mounting unrest. Threats to the status quo weighed heavy as fear battled with pragmatism across creased foreheads. Scene 17. Turn of the tide. Elation surged with possibility as insurgent whispers spread like wildfire. The tides, it seemed, had turned. Yet the sinister threat of reprisal lingered. There was no erasing past scars, even under this hopeful energy. Scene 18. Spirit of unity. Bridges once cloaked in silences now rang with songs of solidarity. Families walked arm in arm, drawn together by newfound determination as they held candles against the encroaching dark. Scene 19. Across the generations. Amidst the turmoil, wisdom passed hands between generations. Elders recounted tales of past struggles, weaving lessons with hope for young ears shaping tomorrow's future. Scene 20. An underestimate. In Moscow, leaders convened, their disbelief over Hungarians' audacity palpable in musings of containment strategies. The Hungarian voice had grown too loud to ignore, even from afar. Scene 21. The breaking point revolution teetered between crescendo and collapse as sleepless nights carved vulnerability into even the most resolute souls. Scene 22. Culture under siege. Art emerged as resistance, its creators finding ways to expose truths through brushstrokes and poetry that would outlive bullets and bombs, definers of Hungary's indomitable spirit. Scene 23. Vigil in the night. Candlelight flickered on numerous windowsills, a city knit together by hope and vigil against a perilous tomorrow, bearing a spirit resilient against the odds. Scene 24. Student cornerstone. The uprising's foundation rested upon youthful idealism, sculpted by intellectual rigor, now facing its greatest test beneath the watchful eyes of past martyrs. Scene 25. Dissonant echoes. The sirens' wails echoed through crumbling streets as sporadic violence intruded upon fragile peace. Yet beneath each unsettling scream lay the heartbeat of a city steadfast in belief.